We're here today to talk about the CRM and why this thing is so important to our business. But the first thing that I want to do, and I am on a serious tear for agents to understand this, that our business is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It is a serious marathon. And I say that to say this. When I speak to someone for the first time on the phone, my automatic default is it's going to be 6 to 9 months before that person that I'm talking to today is in the house. I automatically set up for that long run. That way I'm not disappointed if they're not ready to buy a house today, or if they have something to fix on their credit next month, or they're waiting for their new job in 3 months from now. There is no way that I'm disappointed if I'm already setting my sights for 6 to 9 months. Now, if it goes 10, 11, 12 months, that's fine. I'm already geared for that marathon instead of the sprint. It is the anomaly that when you speak to someone today, that they are pre-qualified, ready to buy a house today. That's the anomaly. That is not the rule. Yet the majority of agents that I've spoken to in the past always say, well, this is a bad lead. How is it a bad lead? I don't understand that. And for those agents that say that they have a bunch of bad leads, please give me your lead list. Give me all of those bad leads. When I hear bad lead, I'm automatically thinking that these folks has a different timing than the actual clients. Just because your clients aren't ready to buy now, that doesn't mean it's a bad lead. It's just simply a lead that's not ready to turn over now. All right. It's a lead that has to be nurtured. It's a lead that needs to be spoken to and educated 6, 9, 12 months. All right. So, yes, that's a long time to be working with somebody. But think about it this way. If you are constantly putting people into that nurturing state of 6 to 9 months, in 6 months, you may have 6 to 12 people that's now in the window. The way I do business isn't sexy. It ain't flashy. It ain't glamorous because it takes time for it to mature. It takes time for it to get to the point where you're ready to do it. So for those of us who don't have business today, right now, just hold on and work with the principles that I'm going to teach you now so that in 3 or 4 months, you've planted enough seeds where now they're starting to germinate. Now they're starting to sprout. Now they're starting to grow. But if you take on the attitude, I don't have any business, I don't know what to do, and you do nothing today, in 3 months, you'll be in the same position that you are in today. So take that worry thought that you have in your head about, I'm worried I don't have any business, and convert that worry into action. And the action that I'm proposing for you is really not much work at all. When I lay this out, you'll see it isn't much work, but it requires work. It requires you to do something. It requires you to actually take that seed and put it in the ground. And that's what I'm proposing to you now. Everything that I'm going to mention today, you're not going to leave here and have 3 or 4 pre-qualified clients outside the store waiting for you. However, in 3 to 4 months, you're going to have 3 to 4 pre-qualified clients outside waiting for you if you start planting your seeds today. Here's the beauty. Once you get to that point, once you exercise the discipline, once you exercise the faith that in 3 to 4 months, everything will go. I know I'm not going to get business now today. I know that. But I keep doing these daily practices, these daily disciplines every day. In 3 to 4 months, not only will you have all of this business that will culminate to that, but each month after that, your business will start to grow exponentially because you've done the work that you've not needed to do 3 to 4 months ago, and you're adding on top of that with each month, with each week, with each day. You're adding on top of that. So yes, it requires patience. It requires faith. The same faith that a farmer has when planting that seed in the ground, that in 6 to 8 weeks, something will come out of that ground that they can use. All right. So this is the faith that we're talking about doing. I'm a huge believer and reader of Ninja Selling, and most of you have read that book. But that is a relationship-based business model. This is what this is all about. This is not the cold calling. This is not the door knocking. All right. I got it from a friend years ago. He said door knocking is equivalent to a mortician knocking on someone's door asking, is anyone getting ready to die in your house in the next 3 to 6 months? They have no relationship with you at all, yet you're coming by door to door and you're knocking on somebody's house you don't even know. And I'm going to trust my biggest asset for most people to a person that is door knocking. I'm not throwing it away, and it does work. But you have to knock on about 200 to 250 doors before you get someone to engage in a conversation with you. Not do business, but to engage in a conversation with you. And now with the safety concerns that's going on today, I don't recommend that way of doing business because you don't know who's on the other side of that door that you're facing. All right. That is not a good way of doing business, in my humble opinion. Now, there's some people that hang their entire careers on it. And for those of you who don't come at me, I'm not talking about you specifically. For me, it just doesn't make sense to just knock on doors asking for that type of business. Then to ask yourself this, if it's that successful, if it's that good of a business, for those agents who have made it and are doing very good business, why aren't they door knocking anymore? If it's that way of doing business is so good, why aren't the bigger players in this industry door knocking anymore? It's not effective. It's not efficient. Your time can be better spent by trying to build and foster and nurture these relationships. Now, with all of that said, on the board here are the letter CRM. It's a customer relationship management tool. All right. This is the hub of your business. Before you start anything in the morning, you are turning this thing on and your dashboard is lighting up every morning. All right. Before I do anything, I come in and I turn on my CRM because when done right, your CRM will outline your day for you. In the beginning, it's not because you're doing a lot of manual inputting in the beginning. Again, it's that 3 months. In that 3 months, you're putting it in. But anytime I put a client into my system, the first thing that I'm saying is that client deserves a what's next. So if I put Frank in my system, for example, I put his name and his number. We just met. I'm going to put some facts about it. Okay, he has a child. He's married. He lives in Central Texas. I got him down, right? Now, the what next is I'm sending Frank a card in 2 weeks. So that in 2 weeks, my CRM will remind me, hey, Ron, don't forget, you need to send Frank a card or you need to give Frank a call. So anytime I'm entering somebody into my CRM or dealing with anybody in my CRM, I'm always thinking about the what's next. That way they stay top of mind. And that way I know that I got to continue to engage with them and not just put them in the CRM and then they get lost with everybody else in the system. There was a time when I thought that the number of people in your CRM, the bigger the number, the more you win. That's my thought process. And I had up to 6,500 people into my database. And I thought I was the cat's meow because I had 6,500 people in. But then there's this agent that sits in Houston. She has 85 people in her media sphere. She does over $300,000 a year, which is 85 people. And I wasn't touching that number with 6,500. The difference, her 85 was nurtured. She communicated with them on a regular basis. Her system reminded them that this high touch and this close relationship is what actually does the business, because it is not just the 85 people that's in her system that is the key. It is that fact that those 85 people know about 250 people each that's in her database. And that is what she exposed herself to, is the access to the people that they know. And I got to ask you, we see these billboards all over town, all over town. Who do you think, if you got a relationship with somebody and they know you're in the business and they know you're a reasonably competent human being, billboard or not, ads or not, bus stop bench or not, when something comes up, if you're in my inner sphere and you got a real estate concern, am I going to call this face that's sitting on the bench? Or I'm going to call that guy, Ron, who I happen to know very closely and I know he's good at what he does? I'm calling Ron first. Even if I had a client one time call me. She wanted to sell her house. She was in another town outside of this area. So bought the house with me, sold this house with me, moved to another area, got that house, found the agent on that other end, for her. So, that was a triple. So I wrapped that one very nicely. Bought, sell, and then got the referral on the other side. Well, she called me up to find out more information about an agent in her town because her friend was looking for an agent. I was like, I can help her out. What are you doing? Well, she said, well, I was calling you to find out if you can get more information about this particular agent. I was still her first call. I educated her on, oh, I could do that for you. Don't worry about it. I'll do the research for you. I got another referral out of that. All right. But she knew to call me first to ask about another agent because she stayed well within my sphere. All right. Because this CRM that I'm going to tell you about is so powerful. All right. If you're not working with a CRM, you need to start. You need to start. And I don't know if you know this, but there is one CRM that is the best CRM on the planet. Any of you know that? The best CRM to use in the world. Any of you know that? You know the answer to that? Okay. That's somewhat of a trick question because the best CRM is the one that you use. I have agents in this company right now that has an Excel spreadsheet that they're using as their CRM versus agents that are spending over $2,500 a month on a CRM and it's nothing more than a paperweight. They're not using it. It's worthless to them right now. And they're complaining about the CRM because they're not using it. And this other agent has an Excel spreadsheet. That's the CRM. They go down the Excel spreadsheet, they annotate on it, and then they look at the next date. All right. Whatever date is, whatever X is in that date, they know they got to deal with that person to the left of that X for that date because their CRM is reminding them to use it. Excel spreadsheet. They're paying nothing for it versus somebody $2,500 and that Excel spreadsheet is earning them more income than that person that's spending $2,500. So I don't care which one you use. I'm not here to really push one over the next. They all do about the same. They really all do about the same, but they are worthless if you're not getting up every day and using it. All right. So the first thing that you got to do in the morning is turn the thing on and get in the habit of doing that. So I taught many classes when I talk about daily disciplines. All right. And I've figured that in the fault of teaching the daily disciplines, I haven't highlighted the CRM as much as I should have. All right. I assumed that you know to do this. I now stop doing that. That assumption is gone. Just to tell people to turn it on is a task. Show up the same time every day. And that I'm huge on that. There's no difference if you going to work now within a corporation or going to work for your own business. Right now, you're going to work for your own business. Yet we don't have the discipline to show up and come dressed like you're going to work for our own business than we have for a corporation. All right. We allow ourselves leverage with our own businesses that we wouldn't allow for somebody that's paying a fraction of what we're worth. I've spoken to people a lot. They got these jobs that's on post and they got to show up every day at 9 o'clock. They got to be at their desk. They showed up in the proper attire. They're at their desk and their computer's turned on 9 o'clock every day. And they be maybe making $25, $30 an hour. Great pay. But we are worth anywhere from $450 to $500 an hour if we look at billable hours per file. All right. $450 to $500 an hour, yet we don't instill the same level of discipline in our own business than we would working for somebody else. So showing up is key. So showing up first. So this is showing up. Showing up is key. Same time, in the proper uniform every day. Now, I worked in the military for 25 years. You try to go to your work call formation in your PT uniform, you got to get questions. All right, you got to account for that. That's over. What are you doing in that uniform? You got to account for that. Well, why wouldn't you do it with yourself then? If this is not how your place of business is accepting how you dress, why would you come in dressed any different than that? Why would you come dressed any different? Yet we do that. All right. So you show up, same time, same dress every day. Now, next thing you do is you write gratitude. This is on because we've already turned this on. That's the first thing that we do. You're not working on this yet. You're turning it on. It's that act. It's that act of turning it on. If you haven't yet read a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, please do. And this is what I'm trying to get you to instill and set up. All right, is the action that you're worried about over the results. It is the action. So Atomic Habits by James Clear. He, in this book, talks about someone that wants to go to the gym. So every day, that person got up, they put on their gym clothes, they stepped outside of the door. They got into the habit of getting dressed, stepping outside of the door. Caught a cab, went to the gym, then from there, went in, checked in, turned right around, came back out, went home. Every day. Didn't go because the thing that they're trying to do or accomplish is the habit of showing up to the gym every day. It got to the point that they were saying, well, I'm here already. I might as well. But if you don't get past the hurdle of at least turning it on, you won't engage anymore. So get in the habit of my CRM needs to be turned on by 9 o'clock every day. That's it. That's my work. Just like if you were working for another employer someplace, you got to show up and they expect your computer to be on and you'll be engaged by the time we told you you need to be at work. Same thing with you. You come in, you turn it on. So come in and turn it on. You're not working on it yet. You're just getting the habit of showing up 9 o'clock every day. And I know I need to hit that on button. I promise you, that habit alone will force you to start working with your CRM over time. You got it on, you might as well look at it. You turned it on, all right? So you get into a habit of doing that every day you do it. But after you turn this on, your next thing is gratitude. There's social experiment, and I got another one I'm gonna share with you, where they were in a networking setting, and there were beverages that were being served. One group received cold cups of beverage, and the other group received warm cups. They found that the interactions with the people with the warm cups was more inviting, more warm, as opposed to the cold, who was very short with them. Same questions, same person interacting with them, but they found that this led to something else here. That's what happens here with the gratitude. Now, if you are a watcher of news or if you like housewife anything, your mind is now tuned to the negative. It is tuned to the negative. You have trained yourself to look for negative. All right. These conspiracy theorists that's running around now, everything is a conspiracy. Everything is going against them. There's a deep state, something for everything that goes on in their life. Now, as I pointed out, I spent some time in the military, and it surprised me how many people was worried about who the new commanding general was going to be. What's that got to do with me? I still got to show up to the motor pool every day. I still got my same task list to do every day. I don't care who that general was. I still got my task to do. But they were so worried about who the general was, it affected them in their job when they ignored then what they have to do normally every day anyway. I could care less who the general was. It ain't going to affect me. I still got to get these PCS done on these vehicles. I still got to turn in parts. I still got to repair these vehicles. I still got to do my stuff. I'm not worried about that. That doesn't affect me. And by the time it gets to me, it's so diluted at that point, so what? I'm not worried about that any longer. Watching the news, watching anything negative facing, tunes you into that, to the negative. But if you start writing every morning 3 things that you're grateful for, you'll start to retrain yourself to start looking for the positive in life. Start seeing those things that you ignored before. All right? We receive about 11 million bits of information is processed with our brains a second. 11 million. All of these things that's going on internally inside of your body, everything that you're witnessing, you're seeing, everything that you're hearing, feeling, touching, your brain is receiving those bits of information, over 11 million. All right. That's not talking about what our conscious self is looking at or receiving. That's just what your brain is processing to keep you breathing. Think about it if we had to think about taking in a breath and out a breath, and that wasn't running automatically. Most of us will pass out if we have to constantly think about the things that our brain is automatically running. In that, we process about 11,000 bits in our conscious mind, right? Numbers may be skewed, but you get the ratio where I'm trying to get at. 11 million bits of things are going on with your brain. We consciously control 11,000, meaning we can all be in the same room. Something can happen, but because of the biases we set in our mind, we look at that same interaction from a different standpoint and different viewpoint. If yours is negative facing, you may see only the negative things that's going on. But if you're positive facing, no. Yeah, there was an argument there, but that guy did some good things there to stop that. I'm not worried about the argument. I'm worried about the person that relieved the situation of what it was. That's how my brain is tuned in. That's what I'm looking for. You train your brain to start looking for that. And I'm talking about the small thing. I have a little journal that sits on the top of my file cabinet. And every morning I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. Some of those things, you'll see a couple of entries. I'm grateful that there was ink in my pen. Small things, because now I've tuned myself to do it. And now what happens, because I am lazy by nature, I'm looking for these good things so that I can write in my journal. So now my brain is searching. Look, I don't want to spend time standing over my journal 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So as I'm driving into work or something that happened to me last night, I'm automatically pinging my brain. I keep that good thought, because you can write that in your journal so you can get that journal entry done quickly. That's the lazy part of me. But now my brain is tuning itself in to find that great positive thing so I can put that in the journal. So I write 3 things of gratitude. Have this. This is powerful. Don't overshadow that. This only takes you about 2 minutes, if that. Frank, how long does it take you?
1 minute.
1 minute. So we're not talking about a lot of time. So you're coming in, you turn it on your machine, 3 things that you're grateful for, a little journal next to your desk or right where your CRM is powerful. Then I write 2 notes. Now, my cousin is a public speaker, and he's an educator, and he trains other teachers about their industry, about their mindset and thought. He started me on this note writing because I thought that it was foolish. Now, he has been writing notes for years, handwritten notes. Thank you very much. And it gets them out quick. Gets them out quick. A couple of days after you have the interaction with them, it's in your mailbox. I didn't know how powerful this thing was. Then I went to Ninja Selling and I seen that they have a note writing campaign too. Okay. Well, maybe there's something to this thing my quirky cousin, I thought at the time, has. This has been the single biggest boost to my business over the last few years than anything that I've done. Remember what I said about having that small but powerful group of people that you're nurturing? There's nothing more powerful than a handwritten note. All right. For those of us that have children, you know that little turkey hand that you get every year with the little feathers and the colors on it? I still got my daughter's. She's 42 years old. I still have hers. She's 42 years old. We're not going to throw that away. We don't throw that away. There's power. There's energy behind these notes. So don't dismiss it. Another thing that I love when I go to a client's house and they have a handwritten note that I sent them and it's stuck on one of their cork boards. That is so powerful. And these are love bombs. I write these notes without an expectation of return. I can care less whether you respond to me or not. I know it hit. But I'm not going to charge you to have the same wherewithal to send something back to me or a note. As a matter of fact, it makes some people sheepish around me when I've sent them a handwritten note and they didn't send me anything back. Oh, Ron, the first thing they're coming in was a barrage of apologies and thanking me for the note. I didn't expect that. That's fine. These are my thoughts about you at the time. I have no expectation of return. So please don't think that I wrote this in order to get business. I don't. But I will tell you, your business will improve because of it. Your business will improve because of it. Not might. It will improve. All right. Notice I have that pointing to the CRM. My CRM is open. I turned it on. I wrote my gratitude. Then I write my 2 notes. And guess what happens after I put the names on it of the 2 people I wrote the note to? I put them into my CRM. All right. I wrote a note to Ed today, congratulating him on his first home flip in this area. In that CRM again, remember what I told you, I also put the what next. Give Ed a call in 3 weeks to follow up to see how he's doing. I'm setting that in the CRM because when you turn this on, right now you're building it. There's nothing in it. All right, if you're starting fresh, you're building nothing in your CRM. you're manually putting everything. In about 2 months, a month, 2 months, your CRM will set up and it will start setting up your task list. It'll tell you what you need to do every day. You're not building it anymore. It's going to tell you because I wrote a note to Ed. I put it in the CRM, give Ed a call in 3 weeks. Guess what? It falls down on my task list in 3 weeks to give Ed a call with everything else that I've put in it that I have to do. All right. We're going to hit that task list later. Okay. So that's just a reminder to talk about this task list. 10 connection calls. Twins? 10 connection calls. Text and or email. Calls is my first default. But I got clients now that look at their phone like it's a tumor if I call them. But I know who they are first. My default is the call. These are 2 to 3 minute calls. These calls cover those 4 questions that we talk about: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. These are not business calls. These are not business calls. And don't fool yourself into thinking that. All right. We're going to have time. We got time for your business calls later. But these calls are your connection calls. These calls are your relationship calls. These calls make your business calls easier. If I'm talking to 10 people a day, and these calls are positive, everybody's feeling good, I'm just calling to see how you're doing. I'm calling to see how your family's doing. I'm calling to see how that job is working out. These calls, after these calls, you're feeling good now. And guess what? You've built up a good rhythm. Then leads to your business calls, your follow-ups. These are not your business calls. These are your connection calls. These are calls where we are trying to build that relationship and foster our friendships. All right. I love to be called, oh, Ron's my friend. Oh, he happens to sell real estate. Not, oh, I know a realtor named Ron. No, I have a friend that happens to sell real estate. That's my goal. All right. Much, much warmer connection. And let me tell you about that. So let me digress for a second. Cold calling, I'm going to still use that old adage, 100 to 1. All right. Ratio 100 to 1 when we cold call. That means for every 100 calls, I'm going to hear no 99 times. And a lot of these calls are not nice calls. They're cursing you out. They're slamming the phone in your face. They are not nice calls. All right. But I got to go through that 99 times to find the one that's willing to do business with me. And don't get it confused. This doesn't mean closed sale. This simply means someone that's willing to talk to me about real estate. So this one may not close. Just I have someone after 99 other people that's willing to engage with me in real estate. And if you've been in real estate for more than a day, you know that there are 1,000 things that can go wrong from the day you get under contract until you hit to the closing table. There's 1,000 things that can go wrong. I've had deals fall at the day of closing. At the day of closing, I have deals fall on me. All right. And how horrific that is. But I got to do that 100 times for the one. So is this a successful way of doing business? Absolutely. Are you willing to put the numbers in that you need to do to get to the numbers that you need to get to? So the more calls you make, the probability increases over time. Door knocking, about 250. And I think that number is even higher nowadays after COVID. That number's even higher now. People just aren't accustomed to people showing up. Door knocking. Door knock, 250 to 1. Typical block, 30 houses, 20, 30 houses on a typical block. You do the math. You got to run through 10 to 15 blocks to get to these numbers. Walking, physically knocking on doors. You got to do that. Hours of work being spent there. Not worth your time and effort. All right. Magazines, even worse. Or those, the mailers, 2,000 to 1. 2,000 to 1 mailers. All right. You got to plaster them. I don't know about you. I got a basket right next to my mail area. I grab my mail and I stand above that basket and I just start fishing stuff right straight into the trash. And I may grab the 1 or 2 envelopes that will mean something to me at that moment. But all of that stuff, the magazines, the flyers, the postcards, straight into the trash. I would venture to say that a lot of folks do the same, which is why this number hits like it hits. Now, amongst that 1,000, let's say you got a family that you've been nurturing, you've been talking to. Do you think that they're going to grab that mailer and say, This person is the one I'm going to sell a house versus you who have developed a friendship with them. You're going to get that call every time. All right. Here's the stats that I love. 66% conversion rate for referral. 66. So these people that you're connecting with, they may not want to buy a house. That's fine. Got it. They know people. On average, 250 people close enough that they can pick up a phone and call them. That referral is a 66% chance of winning. 66. And I don't have to work for this one. They teed this thing up for me nicely. It's pretty. They laid it out. They did all the introduction. They did everything. I just got to introduce myself to them and see whether or not it works for us at the time. If I get a call for a listing, my friend want to sell that house, I'm typing up paperwork. I'm going over there with the assumption, or you've already hired me. You don't know that yet, but you've already hired me because your friend recommended me and you trust your friend. And I'm going to do well because your friend referred me to you. So I'm going to work hard to make sure that I do right to keep your friend's, reputation high. I'm going to do that for you. So everyone is motivated to do the right thing on this. 66% versus 100 to 1, 250 to 1, and 2,000 to 1. This speaks for itself. This speaks for itself. So that's why I am so keen on making sure we build these relationships first. All right. So we have our 10 connection calls. We did our 2 notes. We showed up, gratitude. Then after that are your business calls. This is the time where you're calling the leads. After you finish that, so someone calls in on the ad. So I'm not saying that you're not doing that other stuff or open houses or visiting with clients. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is this establishes your base. This is you planting your seed in the ground. Then you're going to start working in the capacity that other realtors start calling their job. The difference is you've established your base. You've established your base. Let's assume 300 working days out of the year. It's a little less, but the math is easier. Out of 300 working days out of the year, you write 2 handwritten notes and you're making 10 connection calls every year. All right. Could y'all keep that down in there, please? So you got 2 notes and 10 connection calls for 300 days. That's 3,000 calls of how you doing, how's life, how's family, how's the job coming, where's your head at, are you okay? You made 3,000 of these calls just this year alone. This year alone. Again, nothing to do with the marketing that you have or if you're still buying leads, that's fine. But don't get it mixed up into this. This is your seed planting every day because you're going to establish this as a base. This takes an hour a day, 1 hour out of your day. This is the work. And even if you're working another job someplace else, you can still do this. That's the key. You may not be able to open that door for the person. That's when you refer that business out. But you can still do this every day. Remember what I said, showing up is when you decide to show up. So if you are working another job that starts early and you get home at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock every day, you can still do this every day. You get home. So before you sit down and watch Judge Judy, you can sit down and knock this thing out every day, plant the seeds. Don't worry about where the lead is coming from. That's the business that we're in, is getting the leads. Everything else, we can hire somebody else to do. Our job is to be the rainmaker, to bring the business in. As a matter of fact, I aspire to be a referring agent only. That's all I want to do is refer. I don't want to open doors anymore. I don't want to go to the listings anymore. I don't want to sit at the open houses anymore. That's what I'm trying to move up to. Still doing it now, but I want to move to the point where I could just refer that business out. Think about the return on investment on that. I call you up, maybe a 2-minute conversation. Here's what they're looking for. Here's their name. Here's their number. Are you okay with 25, 30%? Sure, I'm done. That's no more besides the work that I put in the beginning, but I'm done. Maybe 5 minutes worth of work, and I'm going to get cut a check 25% of the commission of that other agent. I'm sorry? Yeah, I got it. Everybody's on my list. All right. Yeah, everybody's on my list. But Sonia, you won't need me if you're doing this. You won't need me if you're doing this. I generate my own referrals right now because I'm doing this. All right. You want to aspire to that. So let's get back to this. 3,000 calls, 600 notes for the year. 3,000 calls for the year. So this, again, has nothing to do with the business calls or your prospecting calls or the ads that you're running and everything else, the open houses. You made an additional 3,000 calls and wrote 600 handwritten notes to everybody in your sphere of influence. And of course, everything is being followed up into your CRM, right? Who do you think will have a better bit of business? An agent who doesn't do any of this, not one note, not one extra call throughout the year, or the person that makes 300 or 3,000 personal calls throughout the year that wrote 600 handwritten notes? Who do you think has a probability of a better business? It's obvious. This only takes a few minutes a day, less than an hour. You can get all of this knocked out. Less than an hour. Well, the problem with most that I see in this industry is they don't have that base of that daily practice every day to foster relationship. All they do is take it from the business side of things and move on. It hurts me when I hear agents and teams talk nothing about the leads that came in, or how much their money they're spending on these leads, or they're just hosting open houses and not doing anything else, and losing the opportunity to establish their own base, their own referral base, by doing these basics every morning, by planting these seeds and working with your CRM to keep you in tune with everything that you have to do. You don't need the charm. Listen, my wife married this. I know this ain't Denzel Washington. I got it. But she loves this. I have my own group of people that it appeals to me and it's attracted to me. Now, my business partner, Stefan, and I, we are dressed completely different. But guess what? The group of people he serves is a completely different set than the group of people I serve. I attract who I attract, and those are the people that I am working with. So don't try to be who you're not. And I see that a lot. Agents become these robots. All right, all of a sudden you got your real estate license and now you're sticking to a script and you're speaking in a way that is not your true voice. People see that. They hear that. Don't become this robot. It's you. They're attracted to you and who you are. All right. Again, he has his group of people that he works with. And I promise you, some of the people that Stefan is working with, I can serve, but they feel better with him. And if I started out with that client, they probably wouldn't be a client for our team because we just don't gel. This is a relationship. So you're going to attract the people you're going to attract when you start doing the things about reaching out and developing relationships. All right. And there's more than enough. There's more than enough. I don't have any competition with other agents. I don't. My only competition is me, that I am doing these things every morning. That's my only competition, is that I'm doing the work I know I need to do. Because if all of the business came before us today, we wouldn't be able to handle it. We wouldn't. So I'm not worried about another agent doing better, because the people they're working with, that's their people. That's their demographic. That's the language that they speak. Completely different from mine. No threat. No threat by no one coming in here taking my business. You can't. That's why I was never threatened when I seen that Zillow was coming into town and Open Door. They don't have access to my database. They have access, but not my access to my database. You think I'm worried about Open Door taking one of my listings from me with a client that I've been working with for the last 4 years? Client that I've been sending cards to, that I've been sending cookies to, that I've been visiting, that I grab for lunch every few months and we hang out and we're checking on them. We may go golfing or bowling. Do you think that an Open Door ad will take that client away from me? Not at all. So I'm never threatened when I hear a new business model coming into town, or a new agent coming in, or a new brokerage coming in. You don't have access to this. And I'm so confident because I've built this. I've been planting seeds for years. You are not a threat to me. Your only competition is you, that you are getting up and doing those things that you need to do every day. That's your only competition, all right? So I ask each of you, starting tomorrow, I'll give you the day off. Starting tomorrow, you treat this like a job. Starting tomorrow, you show up to work every day. You turn on your CRM, you write your gratitude, your 2 notes, and your 10 phone calls. These are seed planting. Now, you may grow. I've also added a social component to my thing, all right? But I only added that social component until I had this down to where I don't even have to think about this anymore. That my social component is different. You know, I like 5, I comment 5, and then I write 1 response every day. So that's part of my seed planting, but that was only after I've established the habit of making my calls and writing my notes. And you can build your own daily practice that you do. You can build that. But to start with the base, turn it on and get accustomed to making those entries with your notes and making your calls. Questions?
I had this class days ago,
Yeah.
and I'm part of a team. We have a business CRM. Guess where my first lead and that
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Hands
By
down.
doing just exactly what he said. Hey Frank, you got your real estate? Hey, we're thinking about moving there next year. Hey buddy, are you covering San Angelo? No, I don't, but I can find you an agent.
It's a beautiful thing. And I help them I don't work rentals, but I can help you. I want to be your subject matter expert for anything real estate. I want your first call to be, I want you to put my name in there, put real estate next to my name. So if you have any real estate related question, whether it's for commercial, whether it's for land, whether it's a ranch, whether it's an apartment, you got a cousin that's coming into town looking for something, or an Airbnb, I want you to be able to call that number and say, hey, Ron, do you know? And if I don't know the answer, I can get you one. So I do all day, every day. But I want them comfortable enough to know that that's my real estate expert. That's my phone call. When you get folks to that, then you have hit the pinnacle of everything. And it's a beautiful thing. I get 3 to 4 calls a week of someone interested in real estate in some capacity. It may not always be a sale of a house. I get that. But they're calling me, asking me about real estate. All right? All right. It'll happen. Keep the faith. That's going to take 3 months for you to see anything of this. And please don't make the mistake of trying to match up an action with an end result. Meaning, I talked to Bob and Sue. In 3 months, Bob and Sue is going to give me the business. No, no. The results are none of your business. The outcome is none of your business. The only business you have to worry about that you can control is the work. That's the only business you worry about. Because I don't know, the fact that I talked to Bob and Sue, may have talked to a friend who talked to a friend who talked to another friend that led back to me. But if I didn't talk to Bob and Sue in the beginning, I would not have started that chain that made it back around to me. Your job is to put the work in. The universe, God, will reward you once you put in the work. But put in the work and keep yourself accountable. Remember what I said, it's only about an hour. Really, hour. If I want to go play golf for the day, or if I'm going bowling, or I'm hanging out with my wife and she wanted to do something, I get this done. I do my 10 connection calls and or text, depending upon who I'm talking to. I write my 2 handwritten notes. I'm done for the day. I planted the seed. Now we can go hang out all day. All right. This is the only thing that suffers on those days. Then I have to get somebody else to make those calls, my business calls or whatever. That suffers, but my seeds are planted. I try not to miss a day except for some. All right. Questions? Yeah. So All City has a pretty simple one. It's Top Producer X. You can do it, but there's some a lot cheaper. You can go to Brian Buffini. He has a CRM. There's some CRMs that's maybe $19 a month that you can use. You can start with an Excel spreadsheet, and that's free. I could teach you that, but the way this agent had it was all of the names are in this one column, and then he has the month, the days of the month at the top of this sheet, and then on the right column of that has the next action. So let's say it's the 5th, he'll go down the 5th and he'll look at everybody that has an X on the 5th of the box, and then he'll do the action that's in the remarks column on the end. All right. So everybody that has the 5th, he'll do it. So after he works with that person, and let's say, okay, I got to give him a call in 2 weeks, he takes from the 5th and then he puts it on the 19th. He puts an X in the 19th and then puts whatever task he has to do on the outside of it. Works well for him. And each day he just goes down each column and checks it out. But the one with All City is very nice. You don't have to start there though. It's $150 a month. $150 a month.
Plus the other 100.
Yeah.
And those calls, those 10 calls, those you are doing in morning or afternoon?
Whatever time is your
Because
start day.
people is working.
And that's another thing, and that's a good point. I stopped trying to predict where this person, well, I don't know where they are, who they are, what's going on, trying to predict their day. So I make the standard within myself. I show up every day at this time. If it is not a good time for that person, then I'll move the call. But my standard is I'm calling every day, and I start. My calls start at 9 o'clock every day, or whatever. That's when my calls start. But you trying to predict this unknown person for this unknown time and trying to feel it for everybody? No. I bring them to me, something that I can control. I can control when that output is. And you'll know there'll probably be a couple of people where the afternoon is better for them. Okay, call them in the afternoon. Or for you, if 1 o'clock is good to start this, then 1 o'clock is good for you. All right. I do have an agent that works a night shift. After they sleep, they get up, they start their day at 2 o'clock every day. They start their real estate day at 2 o'clock. So they do all of this at 2 o'clock. I do it in the morning because it works better for me. And I know I can stay consistent that way. All right. That's for me. Some other people, they're probably better in the afternoon. That's fine. But it's the same time every day. I don't come in and do it at 11 o'clock one day, 10 o'clock another. Wednesday, I won't do it at all. I treat it like I would treat if I was going to work for somebody. If you're working for an employer and you're supposed to be there at 9 o'clock, you don't have the option to show up at 10 o'clock the next day or not at all the third day. But we are so quick to do that for ourselves in our own business, to let ourselves off the hook because we don't have the threat of someone taking any money away from us, when in fact, that's exactly what we're doing to our own business, taking money away from us. All right. So don't get caught into that trap. All right. When you do it, but you show up every day and get dressed. During COVID, I was still showering. I was still putting on fresh clothes and working in my home office at 9 o'clock every day. I showed up. I gave my wife a kiss. I said, I'll see you later. And I met her for lunch in our dining room. Same house, but I wanted to know mentally that I'm at work. I wanted her to know I don't have time to take the clothes out of the washer into the dryer until my break. I'm going to work. Yes, it was in the same house, but what that did for me mentally is it put me in the place of working. I am going to work today. All right, and you got to get yourself into that too. 14 days to develop a routine, 21 days to develop a habit is what's normally talked about. Try not to break 2 days in a row. That's why I only take the 1 day off. And on my Saturdays, I don't sit and write the notes, but I know who I'm writing the notes to and what I'm writing the note for. So I'm still thinking about this throughout. But I'm still making my connection calls because they're fun. And where do you start? You start at A in your phone and work your way down. Or grab the people that you know you have a close connection with and start from there and then start working with that. Our phone is our biggest lead generator in the world. We ignore it. And if it's somebody you hadn't spoken to in a while, mention that when they pick up the phone. I know it's been a while. Forgive me. How's the family? How's everything going? Praying for you. Stay strong. Click. That could be the extent of your call. Right? And I may not talk real estate with these connection calls anytime in the conversation, but I know they know. I know they know. All right. I am too vocal on my social media platforms for them not to know what I do for a living. But when I go through the 4 questions anyway, the law of reciprocity is a beast. If I ask you about your job, what you're doing, how your life is going on, 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask me, how's my job? What am I doing? How are things going on? They're going to ask me. And I give them a quick, I sell real estate in the Central Texas area. I enjoy helping families find a place. So tell me about you. Try not to talk long. All right. You always want the ball in their court. The goal is for them to talk 80% of the time. It's another class. All right. Any questions? Thank you so much. I am so blessed to have you here and to help me do this. But I hope you've gained something from this so that you can do it. So I'm going to get all of your names down and I'm going to give you all a call in about 30 days. And I want to hear how you've documented this time moving forward with that faith in about 6 to 8 weeks. And even mentioned in Ninja Selling, it's anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, about 45 to 60 days, is you're going to start to see a trend bend in your business. Your business will start to pick up. How and what you did in the first 45 days is none of your business. Just do the work and the results will speak for itself. All right? Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.